So today, the NBA officially lifted their moratorium period for trades, meaning today is the first day of the offseason that trades can officially be made, and oh boy, there have already been some league-shaking news breaking. These next few days should be incredibly exciting to tune into and experience, as trades will likely be taking place somewhat regularly with all of the big names looking to be on the move. But the first big time trade made is the one we will be discussing in today's video, being the Phoenix Suns going out and trading for future Hall of Famer Chris Paul. The Suns are going all in on vying for a playoff spot next year after the incredible momentum they built in the bubble at the end of last season, and bringing in CP3 is a terrific step towards accomplishing that goal. In this video, we'll be discussing what makes this trade so good, we'll be analyzing how much better this trade makes the Suns, and we will be taking a look at what this means moving forward for both teams. Before we start though, it turns out about 73% of you watching right now aren't even subscribed to the channel, so please, if you enjoy the content, consider hitting the subscribe button, because not only does it help out a ton, but I would also very much appreciate it. Now with that being said, let's begin. To start things off, let's take a look at the full details of the trade. The Oklahoma City Thunder sent Chris Paul and Abdel Nader to the Suns, and in return, Phoenix gave them Kelly Oubre, Ricky Rubio, Ty Jerome, Jalen Lecque, and a first-round pick in 2022. This was clearly a move very on brand for each team and their current set of goals, as the Suns are aggressively pursuing a playoff berth in the near future, and the Thunder are much more focused on the future and rebuilding their roster for future contention down the line. Before we get into the meat of the video regarding Chris Paul going to the Suns, we'll start with why the Thunder would want to do this deal out of all the offers they likely received for Paul's services. Right now, the Thunder have the future in mind, with 100% of their focus being on development rather than contention. This season was very valuable for the growth of young Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and now with Chris Paul gone, he will officially be stepping into the lead role on the team, with the keys of the offense officially in his possession. He was given plenty of opportunities to flourish last year, but when it came down to crunch time, he often took a back seat to Chris Paul, who acted as the team's closer, and for good reason. But now, all of the important decisions will be in his hands, which may be something he'll struggle with early on, as all young and up-and-coming stars deal with, but in the long run, it will be very good for him and his growth. As for the return that the team got for him, Ricky Rubio is a solid point guard who has always done a good job setting his teammates around him up, but he's not the kind of player that will be elevating them to winning more games than they should, and while they might not officially be tanking, they want the best odds at a higher draft pick as possible for the next few years, and Rubio only has 2 years left on his contract, so he's not a long-term detriment to their ability to rebuild by any means. Kelly Oubre, I believe, was an excellent addition in the trade because he's coming off of his best season as a pro, and now he's going to a team that will also likely be giving him his biggest role that he's ever had. Plus, Oubre is also on an expiring contract next year, so if he comes out and plays even better than he did this year for them, then plenty of teams will be calling the Thunder at the trade deadline looking to trade for him, and they could end up adding even more assets to their treasure chest for a player that would otherwise leave in free agency. Now moving over to the portion of the video that everyone's been waiting for, let's discuss Chris Paul to the Suns. The Suns had a perfect undefeated record in the bubble this year, but came up just short of a playoff appearance, and with their star player Devin Booker steadily improving every year, his patience has certainly been tested, having missed the playoffs every year of his career. If the Suns didn't make a big move soon, his patience very well might have run out, so bringing in Paul, who just demonstrated how valuable he is to creating a winning culture and elevating a team that was written off by so many to a strong playoff-bound season, just feels like the exact kind of move that the team needed, and now it's a reality. Booker has never had a truly great partner in the backcourt in the 5 years that he's played, and now his job is about to get much easier with someone as smart and capable of creating open looks for those around him, while also being able to take a late game shot over down the stretch like Chris Paul is. Booker's ability to create for others has definitely shown strong improvements, and as a closer, Booker's as clutch as they come, but at the end of the day, he can only do so much as one person in those areas, and up until now, it just hasn't been enough. Not only that, but with Paul in town, his presence will undoubtedly elevate the team's other young rising star, Deandre Ayton. Ayton often gets forgotten about in discussions like this, but he's strung together 2 very strong seasons to begin his career, and as with any young big man, the presence of an elite veteran playmaker could take his production to another level. He's coming off of a year where he put up 18 points and 12 rebounds per game. His defense has improved a ton from the day he got drafted to now, and he provided a very reliable secondary scorer in the post with a strong face-up game, while also doing well as a post-up big and a roll man in the pick and roll. Chris Paul, as any basketball fan should know, is a tremendous pick and roll ball handler, and Ayton will be his new partner in crime for this method of attack. In the entire NBA, Chris Paul ranked in the 92nd percentile in pick-and-roll production last season, making him one of the very best in the league at generating points there, and he did so oftentimes with Steven Adams and Nerlens Noel as his role men. No offense to either of them, but Ayton is a far more talented offensive player than either of them, and his strength, touch around the basket, and mobility here could see his numbers skyrocket. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Ayton breaks out in a big way next year and scores over 20 points per game. The best part is that the Suns also have been developing some highly talented wing players like Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson, who can space the floor and defend at a high level, and they also didn't even have to give up the 10th pick in this year's draft that they have to get Chris Paul, so they could use that to bring in yet another talented 3-and-D wing, but that's a conversation I'll save for my mock draft that I'll be releasing soon. So how good will the Suns be next year realistically? I know it's natural for fans to see any big trade with a big name player involved and look at the team's likelihood to contend for a championship, but I think we have to be more realistic here. The Suns haven't been to the playoffs since the Steve Nash era, and they're in desperate need of an appearance just to start things off. The Western Conference is as tough as ever, with so many teams gunning for a spot, and with the Thunder likely being the team from last year's postseason falling out, there will be a spot opening up for the Suns to take. If we're being honest, next year we can assume that the Lakers, Clippers, Nuggets, Jazz, Mavericks, Warriors, and Trailblazers will make the playoffs, with the future of the Houston Rockets being incredibly uncertain and the Thunder shifting towards a rebuild. That leaves one spot to fight for between the Suns, Grizzlies, Pelicans, Spurs, and Timberwolves. Before this trade, the Suns would have had as good of a shot as any to claim it, but with Chris Paul in town, I think they're definitely one of the favorites to claim it, if not the favorite, and maybe not even stop there. I think realistically, the Suns could make anywhere between the 6 and the 8 seed, and they still have room to make more moves because of their cap space that they have to spend, and it could push them further up the power ranking. Overall, this move was a very good one, and even though it doesn't make them title contenders, it's pushing them in the right direction towards building a winning culture for a franchise that hasn't seen winning in a long time. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you think about the move made. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.